We're talking to people about the cost of living crisis around here. You want to talk about it, or?
Mate, I'm eating tuna out of a can.
Oh, no
It's pretty systems.
Is New Zealand in a state of decline? A recent tour of Wellington painted a grim picture: boarded up shop fronts, deserted malls, and disillusioned locals who said they were struggling to find employment, that they were sick of capitalism. One tradie who was taking his lunch break revealed that he was eating tuna out of a can, while another said that he lived in a tent.
We're just talking to people about the cost of living crisis.
Tell me about mate, I live in a tent.
Oh, really? Do you want to talk about it, or?
Housing prices, like government putting money into things that aren't necessary, whereas there's other things necessary, like keeping it local, locally owned and operated.
Yeah.
Shipping things overseas and then bringing it back here, costing more.
New Zealand is hurting by many metrics. GDP is shrinking, unemployment is rising, and the number of Kiwis leaving the country and moving overseas has reached record levels. Of the Kiwis who move overseas, most of them, about 60%, move to Australia, where salaries can be up to $50,000 higher.
No, I'm not doing too well. Don't got a job.
Young people are not getting the jobs, they're not seeing the opportunities. Our son lives in Vancouver, and job market there, huge.
In Wellington, New Zealand's capital city and seat of government, almost 200 businesses have shut down in the past year alone. It's been linked with 10,000 job cuts in the public sector, part of the government's aggressive cost-cutting measures. The country's Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, said he was dealing with a very difficult recovery after the disaster of 2020. During the pandemic, New Zealand closed its borders, cutting off two key engines of growth, tourism and migration, which have yet to recover to pre-pandemic levels.
This is a government that is focused on economic growth. Why? So that we can get New Zealanders getting more money in their back pocket, and that's how they get ahead.
Sociologist Professor Paul Spoonley says the exodus of New Zealand citizens has reached unprecedented levels. As a Kiwi myself, it's heartbreaking to look at these numbers.
Yeah, I'm equally disappointed. I mean, I think we've seen this before, and every year for the last 30 years, we've seen more New Zealand citizens leave New Zealand than arrive, but it's really spiked in the last year and a bit. In the 2011-2012 spike, we were seeing 50 to 55,000 New Zealanders leaving. The net loss wasn't that high because there's always some who come back. But at the moment, the spike has reached over 70,000 New Zealanders leaving, New Zealand citizens leaving. And of course, the net loss is running between about 45 and 50,000. So there's always New Zealanders coming back, but certainly we've not seen 65 to 70,000 people leaving in a single year. That's very high.
Professor Spoonley said it's mostly economic conditions that are driving Kiwis overseas, and in order to entice them back, wages and salaries must improve.
The labour market needs to be more buoyant. There needs to be salary and wage increases which begin to retain people rather than lose them to Australia. So we reduce that difference between the two countries. We need a sense of optimism and a sense that people want to stay in New Zealand. One of the interesting factors of the current outmigration is the number of Māori who are moving. So we see a very large community of Māori in some Australian cities, particularly cities like Brisbane. And I think we need to value our graduates. What we tend to do in New Zealand is we load up our graduates with a lot of student debt and then wonder why they go and live in another country, in part, and in some occasions, to avoid repaying that debt. So you accrue interest on that debt, so the longer you stay away, the larger the debt gets, and then we wonder why people are induced to stay in another country. So there are various push and pull factors and some rather perverse disincentives, as it were.